This is a good example of how little of a tree trunk must be alive for a massive tree of this size to still stand and live. Many of these trees are pocked by these marks, these little holes, which I think are probably test holes by the Magellan woodpecker. I wonder if some of these large trees aren't first growth, because you can see stumps around as I pan that are a little smaller than some of these, and maybe for some reason these were left standing and ignored. These crossover trails seem to be some of the most interesting and the ones most enjoyable for me, because there don't seem to be anybody on them. Like people either take a trail to its end or not. The park administration tries, but you still see the occasional butt lying in the middle of the trail, not squashed or put out. Gorgeous little place. It'd be lovely to kayak here, and I think you can. Laguna Negro, Black Lake, fishing prohibited. I think if I read the sign correctly, this lake is a product of glacier's creation, and I'm assuming by that a glacier ran down through here and carved it out. But if that's the case, something must have then blocked the downstream part of the valley that the glacier created in order to create this lake. And maybe it was beavers, although I think this lake has been here much longer than that. Why it's black, I can't read Spanish that well, so I don't know. I suspect it's vegetation and or lack of. This lake was about 14,000 years ago, which is the last ice age, or small ice age I think it was called. And probably all of this vegetation is a product of what was pushed down here after that period of time, washed down by the snow and rains. But you can see it's a dark, rich-looking soil, but it may be the temperature and maybe the acidity or base of the water that prevents more exuberant growth here. I think that's a young version of what I saw earlier today, and its occasional screams are probably to get its mom to bring it something to eat. And if I had patience, which I don't, I'd sit here and wait for Mom to show up. Incidentally, I'm on the old abandoned trail down to the lake, although somebody still uses it because it's pretty an obvious trail. But that's why I'm looking at this bird, otherwise its mother wouldn't have left it here, or it would have flown away by now. The rabbit here seems relatively unimpressed by my appearance. Here's a face of that slate-like rock that apparently at some point in time was fractured, at least in this position horizontally, but only after it had been tilted upward. It looks like about a 40-degree angle going from upper left to lower right, and then that white rock was filled in wherever there were existing cracks. For whatever reason, the cracks were there. Now this bigger rock face seems to have a mixture of different kind of rocks. Notice that chalky green in there that I saw up on Largo Roco, I think it was, when I walked around that, the long trail. Almost a chalky look, but with a tint of green. But down here at the bottom, notice that there is some of that, I would suspect, old slate, but it looks harder than the norm, with some more of that white rock intruded into it. And that, again, up on top, more of that slate-like rock, so who knows. Here an even bigger exposed rock face, reflecting different colors of stone, but still that slate-like thin layer look. The wind has now just come up, so I'm probably going to be finished in about 45 minutes, and that'll be perfect timing, I'm guessing. Just a pretty pan as I walk my way out of this area and back to the cafeteria and restaurant area. Lovely to kayak through here. If there weren't always so many people. Almost looks like a fishing weir down there. Perhaps it was a fence from an earlier time. The lake. And here below me you can see the water pouring out of the higher elevation of this lake to my right. Interesting what a smooth taffy-like pattern that creates. I've never seen that in the water before. I think we may have some beaver over there. This would be a wonderful place if it weren't for the people. Just kidding. And over there is probably Chile. These I'm videoing because they're white, otherwise they look the same. And they appear to be able to grow on not only one of those growths which seems to be starting there, but apparently also right on a dead limb. I got to this place on a faint, unmarked trail. This is certainly a quiet little bay because there's no trail in here that's marked, and not much of a trail that is. Now what I wonder, is there a trail out from here, or do I have to backtrack? Here's trail 1, which I didn't see to my left walking down, but if it tends to go that direction, I'll just go a little ways and backtrack out. Pretty little back route. This is spilling out of the river that connects Lago Roco with this area. What a great canoe ride it would be. Or kayak, rather.